Hello, friends. Your friend Yash Singh here. I hope you're all doing great. Friends, today, India finds itself at a dangerous crossroads under Modi's rule, where the common people of our country may face significant losses in the coming times. This is a critical issue we need to discuss with you, so please pay close attention. Today, when Modi government is already exposed of vote chori, or tampering Indian voting systems for illegitimate gains in elections, but we will explain you the external forces which are negatively affecting India because of Modi and Adani. Yes, friends, we're exposing a shocking truth about the growing tensions between India and the United States. This is a detailed revelation about the so-called friendship between US President Donald Trump and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, which now seems to be unraveling. We'll break it down step by step in a way you won't find in mainstream media. So stay with us for a few minutes and take this seriously until the end. Friends, this isn't just a typical diplomatic spat between the Modi and Trump administrations. It's a complex saga involving trade, diplomacy, and corporate interests. We'll dive into how Trump's frustration with Modi stems from India's purchase of Russian oil, its trade policies, and most crucially, efforts to shield big industrialists like Gautam Adani from US courts. This article will walk you through facts and figures that explain why India is bearing the brunt of Trump's tariffs. So let's dive into this deep analysis. In recent weeks, tensions between India and the US have dominated headlines. It all began when Trump announced a 50% tariff on Indian exports, hitting industries like carpets, textiles, jewelry, and seafood hard. Data shows that India's exports to the US, worth over 5.4 lakh crore rupees, could be severely impacted. The carpet industry in Bhadohi, employing 13 lakh people, and the diamond industry in Surat, supporting 25 lakh workers, are now in crisis. Hundreds of factories in Surat and Noida have shut down, putting thousands of jobs at risk. Last year, carpet exports were worth 17,000 crore rupees, with 60% going to the US. Now, 1,000 crore rupees worth of goods are stuck and orders are being cancelled. Seafood, which accounts for 40% of India's export to the US, is also in jeopardy. Friends, this isn't a small matter. These tariffs are delivering a devastating blow to India's economy, and the reasons go beyond just trade. One major reason for Trump's anger is India's purchase of cheap Russian oil. Trump has repeatedly said that India earns money from the US and uses it to buy Russian oil, which strengthens Russia in the Russia-Ukraine war. This is something Trump absolutely dislikes. Last year, India imported $16 billion worth of oil from Russia, refined it, and sold it to Europe. This process has benefited refiners like Ambani and Adani the most. However, Trump is furious that India is engaging in this trade with Russia, and he's punishing India for it. India argues that cheap Russian oil is vital for its economy and helps stabilize global oil prices. Yet Trump calls this a one-sided disaster and has imposed 50% tariffs, partly as a penalty for India's Russian oil purchases. But the story gets deeper. Another significant cause of Trump's frustration is India's efforts to protect corporate giants like Gautam Adani from US courts. Adani, one of India's biggest industrialists, is embroiled in a serious case in the US, where courts have accused the Adani Group of fraud and corruption involving $265 million in bribes for solar energy projects in India. This case is so massive that it has led to a sharp decline in the Adani Group's stock prices and raised questions about India's corporate image. Sources say the Indian government has held multiple rounds of talks with US officials to lessen the action against Adani. This move has not sat well with the Trump administration, which sees it as pressure on the US judicial system. Adani and the Modi government share close ties, and the Adani Group has invested heavily in major Indian projects. However, this corporate diplomatic game is straining India-US relations. Trump has warned India multiple times that if it doesn't stop buying Russian oil and fully align with US interests, it will face heavy tariffs. But India hasn't completely halted its oil purchases from Russia, nor has it fully complied with US trade demands. When it came to Adani, India's advocacy in US courts further provoked Trump. He believes India is not only opposing his economic policies, but also challenging US laws to protect its corporate interests. Trump has also pressed India to open its markets further to American products, especially in dairy and agriculture. However, India has refused, as farmers are a significant vote bank, and ignoring their demands could be politically disastrous. Trump doesn't seem to understand this, as he expects India to comply with all his conditions, whether it's stopping Russian oil imports, reducing trade with China, or accepting US court rulings in the Adani case. Another critical angle is the reported 4 phone calls Trump made to Modi, which, according to sources, Modi didn't answer. German newspaper Frankfurter Allgemeine Zeitung and Japan's Nikkei Asia gave prominent coverage to this. Some of Modi's supporters on social media are calling this an act of bravery. But friends, the truth might be different. It could be a result of fear. Sources suggest Modi is wary that speaking with Trump could lead to more pressure, as seen in Trump's dealings with Ukrainian President Zelensky. Trump's aggressive style means he could impose stricter demands over the phone. However, not answering these calls isn't a solution. It's only escalating tensions. The last official call between them was in June, and since then, Modi has been cautious, especially after Trump's critical social media posts. These tariffs are not just economic pressure, they're Trump's way of sending a stern message to India that non-compliance with his policies will come at a steep cost. Trump has called India the tariff king, claiming it imposes high tariffs on US products. India, however, argues that it does so to protect its economy and local industries. But Trump isn't buying this argument. He wants India to meet his every demand, whether it's halting Russian oil purchases, reducing trade with China, or accepting US court decisions regarding Adani. It's clear that Trump's once friendly stance toward Modi has soured. Their earlier camaraderie, splashed across global headlines, is now a thing of the past. Trump's tariffs, repeated phone calls, and open criticism of India's policies show he's unhappy with Modi. The primary reasons are India's Russian oil trade and its efforts to shield Adani from US courts. The stock market has already suffered a 4 lakh crore rupee loss. Industries like carpets, textiles, and jewelry are facing job losses in the lakhs. Padohi's carpet weavers, Surat's diamond artisans, and Noida's textile workers are on the brink of unemployment. All this is happening because India refused to fully comply with Trump's policies, particularly in protecting corporate interests like Adani's. So, what's the way forward for India? Will Modi find a diplomatic solution through talks with Trump, or will India face even harsher tariffs and economic pressure? Trump's intentions are clear. He wants India to bend to his terms. But for India, it's not that simple. Buying cheap Russian oil is crucial for its economy. Ignoring the interests of farmers and small industries could be politically suicidal. Protecting industrialists like Adani may be a priority for the government, but it's further damaging India-US ties. This is a delicate moment for India. The government must tread carefully, perhaps by diversifying export markets, increasing US energy purchases, or engaging in diplomatic negotiations. A critical question arises. Did India's efforts to protect Adani push the country into this crisis? This is significant because the common people are now paying the price. This isn't just a story of Trump and Modi's fallout. It's about India's economic interests, corporate games, and global diplomacy. Trump's pressure, India's insistence on Russian oil, and its defense of Adani are pushing India into a major crisis. It's time for India to rethink its policies and prioritize its people's interests. Trump wants India to submit, but India must decide how to safeguard its sovereignty and economic interests. We end with a question. Will India bow to Trump's pressure, or will it stand firm on its policies? This is a pivotal time for India. Trump's tariffs and anger are hitting the economy hard, and the common people are bearing the brunt. This story is far from over, and the coming days may bring more challenges. One thing is clear. Trump no longer has any special affection for Modi. The biggest reason is India's efforts to protect its corporate interests, particularly Adani. It's time for India to set its priorities and put its people first. Thank you so much for staying with us till the end and understanding this issue. Please share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this insightful, do share it so others can learn about this topic. Your friend Yash Singh, signing off, Satyamev Jayate.